My father opened the bedroom door at exactly 2:17 a.m. I remember the time clearly because his watch was always loud, a ticking echo in every room he entered. But when the door flung open, I was not focused on time. I was underneath my stepmother, trembling, flushed, and completely naked. Vanessa's hand was tangled in my hair. My mouth was on her chest. My legs were spread beneath her soft thighs, and I was moaning something I did not even recognize as English. Her body was all over mine, slick and glowing under the dim hallway light pouring into the room. Then we heard it, the gasp. It was not loud, but it was sharp. And it sliced right through both of us. Vanessa froze. Her eyes widened. I turned my head, still on the pillow, and there he was, my father. Standing. Silent. His eyes did not blink. His mouth hung open. And then, slowly, he stepped back, closed the door, and walked away without a single word. Yes, that was how it all came crashing down. Thank you for joining me again, my dear mature audience. If you have subscribed already, I appreciate you more than you know. To all new and returning viewers who are yet to subscribe, I thank you for being here, and I cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button. It is the fuel that keeps this channel going, the energy behind every story I pour my heart into. And please, do not forget to leave your thoughts in the comments right after this chapter. You know I read them all. Now, let me take you to the beginning, where it all started. My name is Emily Harris, and I am 24 years old. I was supposed to be in my final year of medical school when my life became a scandal that nearly destroyed my father, my family, and myself. The summer before it all exploded, I returned home to Houston after exams, hoping for peace and a little warmth from the people I had left behind. But instead of peace, I found something forbidden, something I never saw coming. And it started with her. Vanessa. My stepmother. She married my father 6 years ago, when I was still trying to understand who I was after my mother's sudden death. Vanessa was beautiful, unsettlingly so. She had this smooth, coffee-colored skin, eyes that flirted even when she was not trying, and a voice like warm honey dripping over cold ice. She was the kind of woman who walked into a room and made everyone forget why they were there. I used to admire her. Now, I do not even know if I ever truly understood her. The moment I returned home that summer, things felt different. My father had grown even more emotionally distant. He barely spoke to me during dinner that first night, choosing instead to scroll through his phone and respond with nods or grunts. Vanessa, on the other hand, made me feel like the most important person in the room. Your skin is glowing, Em. College life must be doing wonders for you, she said as she poured me wine. Her touch lingered when she passed the glass to me, fingers grazing mine a second too long. I should have pulled away. But I did not. Over the next few days, Vanessa and I spent a lot of time together. We went shopping, took long walks, and sometimes she would join me in the pool, in a bikini so tiny it barely counted as clothing. She started hugging me more. Stroking my hair. Watching me when I changed into my pajamas. I told myself it was in my head. That I was just lonely, and perhaps even craving maternal affection. But then she kissed me. It happened on the patio late one night. The sky was bruised with stars, and we had been drinking wine and talking about everything and nothing. She was sitting too close. Our legs were touching. Her perfume filled every inch of air between us. Then, she leaned in, pressed her lips to mine, and whispered, "You do not have to be confused. Let me teach you." I should have said no. I should have screamed or run or called my father. But I was tired of pretending. I was tired of hiding the aching curiosity that had grown every time she touched me. So I kissed her back. The first night we slept together, I cried afterwards. Not because I regretted it, but because I felt like I had finally been seen, touched, desired in a way no one else had ever dared to see me. Vanessa was older, experienced, and dangerously persuasive. She made me feel like I was special. She told me I was beautiful when no one else ever did. She looked at me like I was not my father's daughter, but a woman. A woman she wanted. And I let her want me. Every night, she would sneak into my room after my father fell asleep. She would whisper things in my ear, show me things I had only ever read about, and make me feel things I never knew my body could feel. We were reckless. Sometimes she would leave scratches on my hips. Sometimes she would leave hickeys that I would have to hide. But I did not care. It felt like we were in our own world. But of course, real life does not let you live in fantasy forever. One night, we got too loud. Too caught up in the moment. Vanessa was on top of me, moving slowly, deliberately, whispering that I was hers. My fingers dug into her thighs. My mouth was open, letting out helpless, whimpering moans, and I did not hear the hallway creak. But my father did. He opened the door. And everything shattered. He did not yell. He did not throw anything. He just closed the door like he was gently closing a coffin lid on everything he thought he knew. And that silence, that quiet, almost polite horror, hurt more than anything. That was the night my world ended. But it was also the night I finally understood Vanessa's true power, and the storm she had been hiding behind her smile. The morning after my father caught us, the house was cold. Not because of the air conditioning, but because of the silence. A silence so suffocating it made every breath feel like a confession. I barely slept. I lay awake, tangled in sheets that still smelled like her. Vanessa had left my room without a word right after the door closed. No goodbye. No reassurance. Just her perfume lingering in the air like smoke from a fire we had both lit, and now could no longer control. I waited to hear shouting. Doors slamming. Plates crashing. My father's voice booming down the hallway in the voice I had feared my whole life. But nothing happened. He said nothing at breakfast. He sat at the table like a ghost, stirring black coffee he never drank, eyes unfocused, lips pressed into a flat line. Vanessa floated into the kitchen like she was starring in a commercial. Hair brushed, red lipstick perfectly applied, humming some old jazz tune as if she had not just been caught naked on top of his daughter. "Morning, Gerald," she said sweetly, kissing his cheek. He flinched. I saw it. A tiny twitch. A muscle spasm in his jaw. But still, he said nothing. I felt like I was watching two bombs about to explode. One with a smile and the other holding everything inside until it killed him. That day, I stayed in my room. I could not look at either of them. My stomach twisted every time I heard footsteps, unsure if they would stop at my door or keep walking. Vanessa never came to me. I did not know if that was relief or rejection. Maybe both. By evening, I decided to take a walk. I needed to breathe. To think. To escape the house that suddenly felt like a padded cell. I passed my father's office. His door was shut, but I could hear the low sound of his voice, praying. Not loud. Not desperate. Just soft, tired, and broken. I should have cried. But I could not. Outside, the sky was darkening. Houston summers always carried this thick humidity that clung to your skin, like the consequences of your worst decisions. I wandered aimlessly around the block, ignoring the stares of neighbors who probably saw my father's car pull away early that morning and return 3 hours later alone. When I returned home, Vanessa was waiting in the living room. A glass of wine in her hand. Legs crossed in a silk robe that left little to the imagination. "Your father went to the church for the evening," she said. "I think he needs time." I stayed near the door. My arms crossed, spine tight. "You should not be here," I said. My voice cracked, but I stood tall. She laughed, soft, amused. "This is my house too, Emily." "No. It is my father's house. You just play pretend here." She stood up and walked toward me, barefoot and beautiful, dangerous and glowing. She placed her hand on my cheek and leaned close enough that I could taste the wine on her breath. "And you? What are you playing?" I slapped her hand away. I do not even know who you are, I whispered. She smiled again. That same smile that pulled me in weeks ago. I am the woman who showed you what it means to be wanted. You destroyed everything. No, Emily, she said. I revealed the cracks that were already there. Your father? He never really saw you. Not after your mother died. He buried himself in sermons and scripture, and you were just his sad little shadow. Do not talk about my mother. Vanessa sighed. I am not the villain here. I gave you something real. Something you have been starving for. Do not pretend you did not want it. I saw how you looked at me. How your body responded. I felt sick. Because she was right. I did want it. I wanted her. And that was the part that disgusted me the most, not the act, not the betrayal, but the fact that I craved it even now. She stepped closer again, whispering, and if I touched you right now, you would not stop me. I backed away. This time for good. You need help. She laughed again, louder this time. Help? No, sweet girl. I need freedom. And maybe you need it too. That night, I locked my door. I cried for the first time in days. Ugly, choking sobs that soaked my pillow. Not just for what I had done, but for how hollow I felt. I had betrayed my father. I had been used by a woman who manipulated everything, even my grief. And still, part of me missed her. The next few weeks were unbearable. My father barely spoke to me. He never brought up what he saw. Not once. But his eyes said everything. Disappointment. Disgust. Sadness. Church members began whispering. My father stepped down from preaching for a while. He told the congregation he was going through a family matter, which only fueled the gossip. Vanessa, on the other hand, played the perfect wife. The perfect stepmother. She cooked meals. Organized church potlucks. Held my father's hand in public. But at night, she would text me. Are you thinking about me? I miss your skin. Your father does not touch me the way you did. I blocked her number after the third message. It did not stop her. One night, I came home and found a box on my bed. Inside was a lace lingerie set. Black, sheer, and expensive. The note said, just in case you remember how it felt. I burned it in the backyard that night. My hands shook as the flames swallowed the silk. I wanted to believe I was free of her. That I had taken control back. But I was wrong. The next twist came at a family barbecue my father forced us to attend, to keep up appearances. I tried to keep to myself, avoiding the conversations, the glances, the fake smiles. But then I saw her. Vanessa. Kissing someone. Not my father. A man, tall, lean, wearing a leather jacket and sunglasses even though it was nearly sunset. She was kissing him behind the garage. Her fingers were wrapped around his belt buckle. His hands were under her dress. And she saw me watching. She did not stop. She winked. I turned away, my heart pounding so hard it hurt my ribs. I wanted to scream. To tell my father everything. To destroy her the way she had destroyed me. But I said nothing. Why? Because I was still afraid of the truth. Still afraid of how far she would go to keep her secrets, and how deep I was already buried in them. The final straw came a week later. My father sat me down in the living room. His hands trembled as he poured us both tea. He looked tired. Hollow. A shell of the strong man I once idolized. I know more than you think, he said quietly. About her. About you. About everything. I opened my mouth to speak, but he raised his hand. No more lies, Emily. I do not want explanations. I want peace. He sipped his tea, and I noticed something strange. His lips were turning blue. His fingers twitched. His breathing changed. "Are you all right?" I asked. He dropped the cup. He collapsed. "And Vanessa?" She stood at the top of the stairs, watching with the calm of a woman who had waited years for this moment. My father was dying, and Vanessa was watching. She never moved from the top of the stairs. She never called for help. Her arms were crossed over her chest, and her expression was unreadable. Not joy. Not panic. Just stillness. Like she had expected this moment. I dropped to my knees beside him, screaming his name. His breathing was short, jagged. His lips had gone from blue to gray, and his eyes darted around wildly, full of confusion and fear. His body convulsed. I grabbed the phone and dialed 911 with shaking hands. I screamed into the receiver. I begged them to hurry. And all the while, Vanessa remained exactly where she was, still, statuesque, unmoved. The ambulance arrived within 10 minutes. But those minutes felt like hours. They rushed my father out of the house, his pulse weak, his pupils shrinking. I went with him. Vanessa did not follow. She simply watched us from the porch, sipping a glass of red wine like it was just another humid Texas evening. At the hospital, everything moved quickly: blood tests, cardiac monitoring, questions from doctors I could barely answer. I sat alone in the waiting room, trembling, reliving every single moment from that cursed summer. The lies. The seduction. The manipulation. The betrayal. The sex. The silence. The shame. When the nurse finally returned, her voice was low and firm. "He is stable now. But we found something in his blood." I stared at her. She continued. "Poison. A low dose. Something we are still testing. But it was not natural. Someone gave it to him, intentionally." I felt the world tilt beneath me. My heart thundered against my chest. Poison. He had been poisoned. I did not say Vanessa's name. I did not need to. The moment I left the hospital, I went back to the house. I did not even knock. I pushed open the door and stormed inside, breathing hard, fists clenched. She was waiting for me, on the couch, calm as ever, flipping through a magazine like nothing had happened. "You tried to kill him," I said through gritted teeth. She did not deny it. Instead, she looked up and said, "He had to be removed. He was in the way." "In the way of what?" I screamed. "Your sick games? Your power trip? What do you want, Vanessa?" She smiled, slow and cold. "I wanted freedom. And I wanted you. You never loved me." "No. I desired you. That was enough for what I needed." I could not breathe. All the emotions I had buried came flooding up: heartbreak, humiliation, anger, grief, guilt. "You destroyed us," I whispered. "You used me. You tricked me into—" "I never forced you," she interrupted. "You came to me willingly. Do not rewrite the story now just because the consequences are real." That was the moment I snapped. I charged at her, grabbed the wineglass from her hand, and smashed it against the floor. Glass shattered. She flinched. I stood over her, fists shaking. "You will pay for this," I whispered. "I swear, Vanessa. I will make sure the whole world sees who you are." Her smile finally cracked. I went to the police. I told them everything: the poison, the affair, the manipulation, the emotional abuse. I showed them the texts. I handed over the lingerie she had mailed to me, now evidence. I gave them everything. It was humiliating. It was horrifying. It was the hardest thing I had ever done. But I did it anyway. My father remained in the hospital for another week. He refused to see me at first. I understood. I had betrayed him in a way no apology could ever fix. But when he finally allowed me into the room, his first words were not what I expected. "I failed you, Emily." I cried so hard I could not speak. He held my hand, just once, and then turned his face to the window. That was the last time I saw him before he moved out of the city. He could not stay. The scandal was too big. Word spread like wildfire. Everyone knew. The church community erupted in whispers and judgment. My name was stained. My reputation, gone. But I did not care anymore. Vanessa was arrested 2 days later. Not just for attempted murder, but for fraud, embezzlement, and identity manipulation. Turns out, she had been lying about who she was long before she married my father. She had fake names, multiple bank accounts, and connections with people no one could trace. She had married my father for his money. She had seduced me for leverage. And when she was done playing her game, she had planned to disappear. But she did not get away. Not this time. 6 months later, I left Houston. I dropped out of medical school. Not because I was a failure, but because I needed to heal. I moved to a small town in Oregon and took a job in a bookstore. I started therapy. I started writing. I started living again. Slowly. Painfully. Truthfully. I still wake up sometimes in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, with her voice echoing in my ears. I still struggle with trust, with touch, with desire. I still feel shame. But I am learning not to let it own me. Vanessa is still awaiting trial. Her lawyers are trying everything: manipulation, insanity, even claims of my coercion. But the evidence is strong. And deep down, I know the truth always rises. And my father? He lives alone now in Arizona. He does not call. But sometimes I see him online, sharing Bible verses about forgiveness and redemption. I hope he finds peace. I hope one day, maybe, he will call. As for me, I no longer pretend to be perfect. I no longer bury the dark parts of myself. I lived through hell, and I came out alive. This story is not a lesson. It is a confession. It is a scar that I wear with truth. And maybe, just maybe, someone watching this right now will see themselves in it, and realize they are not alone. Thank you for taking this journey with me. If you have not subscribed yet, I would love for you to be part of this growing community. Let us continue telling the raw, twisted, and real stories that others are too afraid to speak. Do not forget to comment below. I always read your thoughts.